true confidence comes from proving to yourself that you can. And with that, we're going to continue with another daily Count Me App over here, where I talk for 10 minutes, unedited and uncut, just about random topics. And after 10 minutes, I cut it off. So I was thinking about the confidence idea and also proving it to yourself, basically. And I think this is also tied into a little bit of this idea of momentum. And I think that you can get from being very, unconfident to getting very confident in actually quite a short amount of time. And this goes back to, I think, some of the earlier yaps where I talked about the idea of things that you repeat very often become mundane. And when you really think about it, when you're not confident in something, or you're not confident in yourself doing something, right? So let's pick, I don't even know, talking just in general. Let's say introducing yourself. I think that's fair. If you say, oh, I'm not confident in introducing myself, I don't know how that works. Or you just, you start overthinking. As you continue to do it, not only does it get easier, the rate at which it gets easier increases as well. So you have like a second order effect on that, where the derivative also increases. It's actually crazy. And basically, the reason why that's so awesome is because that means that the wisdom is true once again. The first step is usually the hardest. I mean, just incredible. But it is true. The first step is usually the hardest because at that point you can keep going, and you're like the snowball that keeps on taking on more snow and more snow. And as the surface area of the snowball increases, so it can also put on more snow. Therefore, it turns into an avalanche faster and faster and faster. Exponential growth in this case, or just momentum. Damn. Yes. And that's pretty interesting. And I think this ties perfectly together, actually, now that I think about it. So when you're not confident in something, I think the step to getting to confidence is to first make it mundane. So you might say, I am not confident in cooking. Maybe you always burn your, you even burn your eggs, right? You're like, how does that happen? Well, there's probably steps that you can take, but first, just cook like 100 eggs 100 days in a row. And at some point, you of course have to change up a few things, but at some point you're going to be bored, right? It's going to be mundane. And you're like, yeah, I know how to do this. I know what to do now. Like, this repetition has made it mundane. But something being mundane usually also means that you are not confident in it. Interesting. Think about that as well. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Going into continuing with this idea a little bit, I also wanted to talk about intentionality. And I think this ties into the things that I've been talking about as well. I at least hope, otherwise we're just going to have sort of 2 episodes in one. So it has happened before, so it's not like that hasn't happened before. But when you live by design, right? So you say, okay, I have an intention. Like, you're intentionally doing things. You're not just reacting to your environment haphazardly, but you say, okay, I'm going to do this now for this amount of time. And even if you stray away from this a little bit, that's fine. But this intention is what's important. Setting the intention and then just trying to live by this intention as best as you can. Super, super useful. Not only useful, but also, I think, important long term. Because you have to. Because if you're just sort of swayed by your emotions or the wave of the moment, you will stay stuck in a loop of, I guess what we talked about yesterday, unhappiness, right? Because the intention is what drives what drives progress. And I do think that we have to progress if we want to progress as humans, as humanity itself. Then I think the progress of the individual also has to be there. There's no other way that we can progress other than also doing it individually. And so therefore, I wanted to tie this to one of my personal issues, but like one thing that I have been struggling with, and that is waking up in the morning. When I had this unbelievable, incredible focused period a while ago where I worked like a maniac, I was able to easily get up in the morning. Now the question is, what were the surrounding circumstances? Well, I had something to do that I was interested in. I had a reason to get up. I also had a reason to then go to bed early because, well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow early, so let's go to bed early. And continuing with that, I also then was like, well, I should also probably work out a few times a week. So I worked out 3 times a week, which probably helped the sleep, right? So there's going to be better sleep quality, which then gets you up better. And it sort of is a continuous loop, right? And this waking up has been an issue for me for a long time. And the worst part about it is that when I did that, literally the only thing that worked to get up in the morning, it's so stupid, but it's sadly the case. You just have to do it. And that's the worst piece of advice that's like so not a thing. But literally you just have to get the frick up. That's it. That's the advice to like, let's say, do that. And even then, I still fail at it, even though I'm like, oh, you should get up. Yeah, I know. But I'm not. I'm not. And I think the worst part in the getting up is when my current alarm is just some songs, right? So just a playlist. And if I let the playlist run, I'm okay. However, if I then, let's say, switch to, let's say, a YouTube video, right, and let that run for a little bit, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna let this YouTube video run, and I'm just gonna, switch sides, and I'm just gonna lay down for just a little bit longer. That always, every single time, results in me sleeping for another 3 hours instead of waking up, and you know it. But in the morning, you're like, oh, but I'm tired. Yeah, but like, are you really though? Because sometimes I don't always believe that. I don't always believe that. And then, okay, can you back me up on this for just a second? This is the worst thing. Sometimes during the day, right, you're like, it's like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., you are tired as frick, right? Maybe sometimes even earlier, but like you are incredibly tired. I've already drank 2 coffees. You already downed a freaking energy drink. You are so tired. If you go to sleep then and there, right, taking a nap, you are out cold in 2.4 seconds, right? Absolute insanity. And then in the evening, your body's like, oh, you want to sleep now? Nobody. How does that make any sense whatsoever? There is zero sense in this. Genuinely, at this point, what you should do is you should literally just be like, at this time, you should be not kind to your body. You should be like, you know what, MFer? You are, when it's 2 p.m. and you're tired, we're going to keep going even harder just to punish you, mother fricker, okay? That's not okay. You can't be tired now. Be tired in the evening, right? And not in the morning as well. You frick. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes that's a little bit of a weird one. But, I don't know. Just kind of a funny anecdote to think about, right? But yeah, that's one of the things. Or a couple of those things, right? First, the idea of confidence, right? Sort of being related to making things mundane, repeating things, right? If you repeatedly do something and you tell yourself, or you show to yourself, you prove to yourself that you can do it, it first becomes mundane and then it becomes confidence. So the step from something being, or from not being confident in something, it's sort of like, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's like just exposure. Just continuously do the thing. And at some point, you are going to be confident at that thing. Damn. Well, there you go. That's another thing to think about. But hopefully you found this interesting in some way. And talk to you again tomorrow. Until then.